Very cool.
Yeah. Like without fail, every time we're about to go into Shavasana, which is like the last relaxation pose, everyone's like blissed out going into their yoga mat, and then it's like cooler on. It's like, dang it, every time.
That might be the I just started recording. That might be the catch for the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. So
like to ruin your Okay, hi.
well,
hi again.
This is awkward because this is our second take.
Yeah, so we're gonna, I guess, jump right in.
We're going to be honest here. This is our second take.
This is our second take.
Yep.
We originally recorded before Christmas, and
Yes.
we are back on the 2nd of the new year.
Yeah.
So New Year,
January
same
2nd.
us.
And we're going to go ahead and thank Moniqua for doing this on the second day of the year.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
And it's not Moniqua Williams, right?
It's not. Williams has nothing to do with me at all.
Yeah, it is Augusta.
Yeah, Acosta's the
We'll
last name.
never
That's
forget
right.
that.
That's right.
Ever.
Yeah.
So tell us, since we're in here in a casual kind of situation right now, we're going to introduce you and talk to you a little bit about what you do, and then I want to ask you about your holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So we're here with
Moniqua, Acosta.
Acosta.
It's a nice flow. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I know, it does got a little flow to
Yeah,
it.
it
Yeah.
does.
And why are we here?
Yeah,
Where
why-
are we with you? Right
We
now?
are in Space Yoga Studio
Okay.
right now. Yeah.
What's your relation to Space Yoga Studio?
I'm the owner.
Okay.
I'm the owner of Space.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Okay. So tell us, let's start with this. Let's start with some holiday talk.
Okay.
Where'd you spend your Christmas?
I spent my Christmas on the couch.
Fantastic.
At my house. I made a whole bunch of food, like way more than was actually necessary for eating, and it was all delicious.
Yeah, I
So-
definitely overate as well.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think I overate. I ate the appropriate amount
Oh, I
all day
overate.
long.
I
All day long.
Right. Yeah.
That's great.
It's like small portions, but just normal portions all day.
Yeah. It was like a constant meal.
So what's a
Basically.
Christmas meal to you?
Whatever I want it to be.
Okay.
Really.
What was it
There you
this year?
This year, oh my gosh, it was so many things. It was like me and my best friend,
Okay.
who we do this thing where we say, yeah, we're not going to cook too much. We're just going to do like a
Right.
little bit. It's just the two of us. It's like
Yeah.
not going to be, and
So
then
each of you makes enough for one person for the whole day.
well, we start compiling all the things
Yeah.
we really want to eat. And so it turns into like, that's the Christmas feast. So
Sure.
this year she made some sweet potatoes, some mac and cheese. I smoked a turkey on my Rectech.
Nice.
But listen, this Rectech, this is such a backstory. I'm not even going to go into it, but I am like obsessed with this grill. So we smoked a turkey for like 2 hours or something. I don't know. I've never done it before, but I have to
Wow.
say I killed it. It was delicious.
You have to say.
I have to
No,
say
if
it.
you cooking a turkey, you have to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was like a turkey breast, but anyways, I'm still proud. I'm still proud of it. I made some collard greens.
Nice.
We made an assortment of desserts.
New Year's Eve. What was New Year's Eve? Same thing.
New Year's Eve, what did I cook for New Year's Eve? It was also my friend and both of our sons, and we ate food. Oh, we made burgers. We
Fantastic.
made burgers,
Nice.
and
A classic.
she bought me an air fryer for Christmas.
Oh, that's a nice friend.
Yeah, right.
She really is. I mean, I deeply love her. But have you ever used one before?
Yes.
Yes.
It's like a microwave, but better.
First of all,
Cleaner.
how dare you say microwave?
It's clean.
we had a whole conversation about how this better not be a microwave.
It's not.
It's got the convenience of a microwave.
Yeah, well, I'm
Okay.
anti-microwave, so that was.
I can tell.
Really? Do I just look that way? I have that anti-microwave look.
You had the
the
vibe.
moment you walked in the door.
Yeah.
You're like,
I
that girl
got the
does not
vibe.
use a microwave.
Throw
Yeah.
them away.
So when we used it, but it felt different, right, than a microwave.
Yeah, it feels
is.
different.
Yeah.
It's definitely more of a spapeship.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Spaceship
definitely
vibes.
more
That's the vibe I get.
futuristic than a microwave. But so we did we just basically threw all sorts of things in there.
Cool.
And it was the first time we used it, and we really need some time with it. We basically kind of burnt everything.
Well, you've got a whole year to use it.
That's right, and we ate it anyways. I was like, hey, we cooked it. I mean, we're grateful. We have food, so we ate all the burnt. And of course, our sons were like, ugh. Can't do it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Thanks,
Happy
you too.
holidays.
We
And
made it.
We did.
And Chris and I actually made it at Savannah River Brewery.
Yeah, we
Believe it or not.
Fun.
we had a great time. It was called Bootleggers.
The Bootleggers Beer Bash.
Yes, and
B3.
it
Sounds criminal.
It was a very good turnout. There were about
Sounds
150 people there plus.
It was
The
fantastic.
food was by Caterworks, and it's incredible.
What was it like a party?
Yeah.
It was a
Cool.
yeah,
New
it was
Year's Eve
a
party.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
And it
New
was-
Year's Eve, cool.
Yeah, it was from 8 to 1, and it was really good. We had good music from Amplified Events. We had
Cool.
there was a toasting champagne beer, which
They did a
learned-
beer just for
Very
that night.
interesting.
Yeah, it
a
was.
champagne beer.
Was it delicious?
It was good.
It was very
It
good.
was not. I was expecting more of a champagne.
Yeah, it was very beer. Very
beer.
Very ale.
Well, but it's a
But
beer,
I-
right?
It's got a strong ale
What
vibe.
wasn't? It's funny because my wife and I didn't mind it. It was in a really cool glass too, but my wife wasn't a fan. Neither was her other my buddies.
Her significant other.
No.
I'm like,
no.
this
Neither
is
was your friend's
interesting.
wife.
Yeah, it was my friend's wife,
Brittany.
and they were dumping it in my friend's glass, giving him more, and we found out at the end that was 10.5% alcohol.
In the end,
So
sounds like a good story.
We made it,
That's a good champagne.
but
Right.
someone didn't make it last night.
we won't call Blaine out. But you know who you are.
But anyways, no, it was a good time. It was a blast. And
But that is risky,
People
you know,
dressed up. People,
Calling
Yeah.
it champagne.
yes.
when it's a beer.
It was actually I have had champagne beer. They used champagne yeast.
Yeah.
But they
Clever.
did not do that. They used white grapes.
Yeah.
And so it was a bit.
Neat.
It had a dry.
It was
finish.
a dry beer taste.
Dry
but they
Which was
also,
cool.
Sounds
which was
very-
cool.
for those that
Yeah.
aren't as big on that, they also had the seltzer.
Yes,
The cranberry seltzer.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
we had a
Sounds
great
fun.
time.
Sounds
Yeah.
fun.
It
Thank
was
you
fun.
to the SRBC for having us out.
And for putting up with all those people.
And
it
for
was
putting
fun.
up with
That's a lot of
everybody.
people.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
but yeah.
We'll move
Anyways,
right along.
moving on. So I'm going to be honest, and this is our second time recording. But
Yeah.
when
Yes.
you had first originally told us that you are a yoga donation base,
Mm-hmm.
I immediately assumed that all your profits go to a donation, a
You
charity,
mean like a nonprofit?
a nonprofit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But in our first time recording, I learned otherwise.
We had a long conversation.
Yes, so
We did, it was long,
because
yes.
I feel like if I see donation based, that's my first thought. But you're gonna tell us
I am.
that it's totally different and it's totally cooler.
Yes.
Well, both are cool, but
If you're-
this
It-
is
it is
cool.
different,
This
yeah.
is different.
It
If you're
is.
an economist, buckle up. You're about to love this
Yes.
conversation.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think that a lot of people have that reaction. They hear donation and they think it's like nonprofit related, which of course we do have a nonprofit arm here
Right.
at the studio.
Okay.
And I want to talk about that later.
Yeah, same. Thank you for reminding
Same.
me. About that. So the donation-based system, essentially, we have a sign on our desk that says donation-based does not mean free. Because actually the bigger situation with calling something donation-based is not that people think it goes to a charitable cause, it's that people think it's optional payment.
Yeah, true.
And so we really drive home the idea that it's not free. What it means is you can pay whatever you want. So instead of saying your yoga class is going to cost you $15 today, we say, what do you think that this yoga class is worth to you? And we do have a suggested donation. And the reason for that is because a lot of people, this is a very new concept for
Yeah.
people. And so if a new person comes into the studio and they check in at the desk, they're expecting us to go, thank you for coming to yoga. It'll be $15 today.
Yeah.
And we go, thank you for coming to yoga. What would you like to pay? And it's a lot of like blank stares.
Right.
Eyes get wide.
Yeah. And I think when we first started it as donation based, which was really about a year, not even a full year into opening the studio, when I switched everything over. But what I noticed is a lot of people were really uncomfortable with, I don't know if it's like there's a social pressure, like you're standing there and everyone's going to hear what you pay or something.
That has a lot to
I
do
bet
with it.
that is.
Yeah. And I didn't think about that. I try to anticipate all the problems, but I fail many times. So I did
We all
not
do.
anticipate that. I just thought I thought of myself. I thought this would be great. I would love to be able to pay whatever I want. And I didn't really think about the sort of social repercussions of that. So we do have some set price options that a lot of people choose those because, for example, we have a pass, and the pass is $108, and you get the it punches out immediately from it's a digital pass.
Okay,
so
yeah.
a lot of people just choose that because they can purchase that from home, and then when they come in, they just get checked into the class, and they don't
that's
have
neat.
to.
I don't think you mentioned that last time.
I don't know what I mentioned last time. I remember we had a very good time, and you guys were in the swings. So
Oh yeah, that's right. That was a good time.
Burn.
Yeah, it was. Did you feel it the day after?
I honestly could use it today.
Yeah.
Just the stretch.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you do it once, you're like, it's like crazy. You can't ever give it up. So yeah, we do have some set price options for that reason specifically. So people who feel a little bit uncomfortable just saying, I'll pay whatever.
Yeah.
And we actually have a lot of people who switch between the options. So if let's say the thing about the class pass is it's a set price, but it expires. So if they think, oh, I don't know if I'm going to use all these classes in the amount of time, then they'll purchase,
Something else.
just buy the class or whatever.
So just for people to know at home, what we're saying is there's a set price to a yoga class, but that is not optional, but it's suggested, because you can come in, and if you are already a member of a gym and you have another subscription, maybe you're doing HelloFresh as well, and you're doing all these subscriptions, and your gym might offer yoga, but you want to do it on more community based. Yeah, this is an option for you because it's something you can afford. And you mentioned pay what you want, and the way I think of it is pay what I can.
That as well,
because you're also a average human being is going to come in, and they're not going to, just come in.
Nobody knows the intrinsic value of yoga.
Right, until they experience it.
Yeah,
until they
hard.
experience
the
it.
average human being is also not just going to come in and pay you $3 because that's what they can that day.
Right.
What you can do is you can actually budget this yoga class.
Right.
But
the beauty of the system is that if someone does need to come to yoga and they can only pay $3, they are able to do that.
Right.
So I think the way that I would describe it is not so much like that we have a set price and people can pay whatever they want, but that we have a suggested price, but we don't turn anyone away. We won't turn anyone away for a lack of funds.
That's a nice little credence.
Thanks.
We need to put that on something.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's really the concept, because I think we also did talk about it in the last one, and I'll talk about it forever and ever. The reason for that is because I think that the people who really need yoga the most are the ones who traditionally it has been most inaccessible to financially.
Why is that?
Well, because it's a service-based industry. So, when someone walks into Ubora Coffee, for example, and they're getting a coffee, right? They have a product in their hand when they leave the building. So there's a sort of a psychological impact of the exchange. I give you money, you give me coffee.
Quantifiable.
Right. Yeah. That's a good word. Yes.
I'm drinking my money.
Right. Exactly. I'm drinking my money.
Yeah.
Right. So when they come into the studio, they're not leaving with a product, and this is why I with my instructors and with all of the people who are part of the community, we really are pushing the idea of the value of the community itself, the value of the service, the benefits it has in your life. So it's a little bit of a difficult sell sometimes to say, you can come in here and you can pay this money and you can leave with no product.
You can leave feeling better.
Right. Right. But there's no product in your hand. So I think, going back to the question about value, which I think that was your question, right? I go on tangents.
Value was discussed.
We talked about value. Oh, right. You were talking about the inaccessibility financially. Yeah. I think the reason for that is because traditionally, right? So we have a building here and there are teachers that work here. All these things are overhead. Well, if I'm going to say I need to pay a certain amount of overhead, I have to set a price based on that overhead that will tell me how many bodies I need in the building in order to make that work. Yeah. Well, I don't really subscribe to that belief. I mean, I believe this has value.
I remember
on its
this
own.
because you're an anarchist.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Chaos all day, every day. I don't make a meal. I make everything I want to eat. We just eat it slowly.
I love that.
Over the course of the day.
I don't know if that is kind of anarchy, I think. That's
listen, it was anarchy in the kitchen all day.
But now you've got an air fryer, so you just make it all and then you heat it up.
That was anarchy too. I was like, can we fry it? Throw it in there.
You can fry anything.
See how it works. Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit. You are Moniqua. You are the owner of Space Yoga.
Yes.
And that's what you've been doing for a couple years, but this has not been your life. So
No,
talk to us a
it is
little
not.
bit about your coming up process. So
Okay.
you went to high school at Alleluia, right?
I did. I'm glad you remembered that.
I
did you
remember
Google that?
everything.
Did you look it up?
Yeah,
Did you call
it's-
1-800-YES-LORD?
It's on your LinkedIn. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if you have a LinkedIn.
No, that is not true. The phone number is true.
Wow.
We'll
Yeah,
have
no-
to do an episode where we call that number.
I fully support this, actually. What I actually support is you recruiting multiple Alleluia members, children, and saying, hey, guys, let's get together and call 1-800-YES-LORD.
Having not called that number, I cannot endorse this idea.
Listen, I endorse it.
That's
All my
hilarious.
former Alleluia peeps, I know they endorse it as well.
Okay, so tell us this. Tell us how it was growing up and going to Alleluia.
It was unique. It was unique.
And where is that for our people that don't
It's
know?
in South Augusta. It's
Okay.
actually, hold on to your hats, people. It's in a little neighborhood in South Augusta that it was a former, I think it was part of like a military base. So it's like kind of creepy. All the houses look the same. And now it's called
Nice.
Faith Village. If you've been there, you had to look like you've been there.
Yeah, I actually have a couple friends that are all about Alleluia Community as well, so I'm trying to hold my breath a little bit. But it's
Listen.
called I know it as Alleluia Community.
It is Alleluia Community. It is an organization. That's the diplomatic word
Yeah.
that I'm going to use. And I'm using that word because my family is still part of Alleluia. And I also have very good friends from Alleluia who are both still part of it and no longer a part of
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
You know, because it's been around since 1973. So it's not new. And what I did love about Alleluia and what I think actually I've often like attributed some of what I do now to this idea is that it was a very close-knit community.
Okay.
So, you know, the school that I went to, there were 24 people in my graduating class. And those people have been in the same class since I came later in the 5th grade, but a lot of them were together since they were children. So, and even if you look at the scope of the whole school, there might be several hundred kids from K through 12.
Yeah.
So you know everybody. Also, you're all living in the same neighborhood. So you're seeing people, you know, their parents. So there is a particular type of a sense of community.
Did that help you when you started this business to have that?
I think it's one thing, I will say, I think it's one thing they've done very well.
Yeah.
You know, they've really created, even people, like if you say, hey, you're from Alleluia, and you just give me a random last name of someone else in Alleluia, I know their
Yeah.
whole family.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it does create a real supportive sense and a lot of stability. And absolutely, I think when I'm working with people here in the studio and I'm working on building that sense of community, I would say it's very connected to that.
That's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Alleluia, please reach out to us. Please sponsor this episode.
1-800 Space Yoga Studio.
We've been talking about you for a couple minutes now, so I
Yeah.
think it's definitely worth your time.
Yeah. Oh, if you can talk to them, get it on there.
Get it on.
Yeah, that's a good story.
So moving on, so you graduated from Alleluia.
I did.
Alleluia High School in a year, and then
In
you
1
went
year,
to
uh-huh.
you went to college.
I did.
And where did you go?
I went to the university formerly known as Augusta State.
Fantastic. And what
University.
was it you studied?
I studied language, French and Spanish. So I have a degree in French and degree in Spanish.
Where did that come from? Because I like this
My
story.
heart.
There you go. That's the short version.
That is such a short. I think we talked about that for a while.
We
but-
talked about it
Yeah.
for a while last time.
I just always have loved language. I think I talked about being a lazy student. And
You talked about the secret code.
Yes.
I did talk about that. Yeah. Because Alleluia is small, back to that topic. And it's very insular.
Yeah.
So the secret code that you're referring to is the fact that
The Spanish language.
I did. I thought, this is great. I'm going to break this code. I'm going to, and then upon leaving, realize that, a whole bunch of people speak that language. So I
It
was
was a ripoff.
I was hurt. I was
Worst
very,
code ever.
I was seriously like, what? I was feeling like isn't there like a book where there's like twins that speak a code and they're like running through the walls or something? Yep. I felt like one of them, and then it was like my whole world just shattered, you know. But, you know, language has given me access to a lot of cultural concepts, a lot of different mindsets, a lot of perceptions of the world that are really not what we hold here, even just in the English language in general. So it was really instrumental for me in just becoming who I am now, and then especially like leaving Alleluia and realizing like, hey, it's not just not a secret code. There's like a whole world outside of Faith Village.
Yeah,
it is actually
outside of English-speaking country,
right?
Or community.
Yeah. It was sort of like a blast into a much larger world for me.
Gotcha. And so, where did that take you? What did you end up doing out of college?
I went to the University of Florida and I did graduate work there. And I taught. Yeah, I remember this topic.
Good timing on that.
They fought. Florida there was a brawl.
They did.
Shout out to Florida. More shout out to LSU for their bowl game.
Yeah.
But shout out to Florida.
Shout out to all the people who know nothing about sports.
That too.
Shout out to them.
We need to care about them too.
They matter.
I'll start caring about them a lot more after football season.
That's, you know what, you had Haterade for breakfast, and I respect that. I respect it a lot. So yeah, I went to Florida, University of Florida. I did graduate work there, and I also taught there.
Okay.
And then I had my son
teaching languages.
Spanish.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, specifically. So my undergrad work was in French and Spanish. Mm-hmm. And then my graduate work was in Hispanic linguistics. So I just kind of switched over just to the Spanish. Mm-hmm. And then I've been teaching Spanish ever since. I still teach Spanish.
You still teach Spanish where?
At what is now Augusta University.
That's good.
Right up the
Let's
street.
go ahead and skip the middle ground, which was Georgia Regents.
Yeah, forget about that. Bye.
But
I
might as well. I feel like it's my MO to
Chris must address his degree real quick.
Oh, you have a degree from there?
Yeah.
I do. I know. And I am not going to hang up my diploma.
Off.
Listen, that's rough for you.
I know. Trust me. Hey, I've talked to the right people, and the right people have told me that I'm gonna get an AU diploma.
Meanwhile, my prestigious political science degree from Augusta University.
Yeah.
Wow. So, like, do you get jobs where they're like, that's not a real university?
Well, luckily, I've had a job since.
Okay, that's good.
So I haven't had to worry about that.
It hasn't come up yet.
And
that's good.
Luckily, it's been in Augusta. Everybody knows the crap that happens.
That's
so, but if I had to go out,
a super relevant. I mean, that's problematic.
I'd have to say that I go to a university. I'm one of 2,000 graduates of GRU.
Very prestigious.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
So prestigious that when I graduated, they
like,
changed the name.
We're out of here. Bye.
Right.
Thank you for attending.
So I want to direct this to Space Yoga Studios.
Yeah.
But before we do that, Chris, you just brought up moving.
Yeah.
And speaking of moving, there's somebody very important to us that we need to talk about right now.
There is.
And that's our great friend, Nancy Powell. This intro in the middle is pretty nice. I don't know. Maybe we'll just do this from now on.
I like that. It's very chaotic.
So
chaotic.
those of you that don't know what you were listening to, we are Drop Disgusta.
We're a podcast.
and we're here dropping the disc.
We're sponsored by Nancy Powell, which is why we brought her up.
Yeah.
And Chris, what is her fancy title?
She is a real estate associate broker.
A real estate associate broker. What does that mean?
I would like you to tell everybody.
A real estate.
Because right now I'm renting and I don't know anything about buying a home.
A real estate associate broker means that she can buy or sell your property for you, or help you with the process. She's not going to buy your house. I don't want to make anybody call her to sell their house to her, but
she might like that.
Yeah, she maybe
investment.
If she's looking for a house, Nancy, let us know. We'll find you a house.
Yeah,
I think that's her job though.
But you've gone through it.
I've been working
personally.
with her right now. Actually, I'm closing on a house the day after we release this podcast. Very excited about that. Nancy has been awesome. There is not a time in the day that she will not call me or text me if she needs something, which I need somebody like that in my life. Because I'm a little bit chaotic myself.
Yeah.
She's putting everything together. I trust her. She's fantastic. And I would advise anybody to get the Nancy Powell experience.
And I want to reiterate this. We're at the beginning of the year, 2020.
Beginning of the year.
My wife and I, we've been renting for 4 years. And we're actually going to go through the process of purchasing some home, hopefully in Forest Hills area, which would be great. And we've never bought a home. So we're planning to do this in the summer. Nancy has asked us to get together with her tomorrow morning so she can
That's
basically
the third.
so she can go through the processes, maybe start looking at where we need to get a loan or whatnot, and go ahead and tell us what we need to be expecting.
She's on her game.
Oh yeah, because
I love
we're
it.
all about saving. My wife needs to know how much. You
Yep.
know, like what is an appropriate amount to put down so you're solid. Like what kind of price range here? What does that mean monthly for us once we purchase? What are the unexplained fees that we don't know
There's
about?
a lot of
There's a
questions.
lot of
So many
things, and it's
questions.
awesome that she's willing to, knowing that we're not looking to buy until, June. She's willing January to be investing her time in us, and I
That's
think
great.
that's cool. That's a lot right there. So she's all about helping out the first-time home buyers, which
Shout
is
out to
great.
Nancy.
Yeah.
And her email is
Nancy?
Nancy@open.
Oh, I thought you
I thought we were
were
gonna do the same. The whole
I
thing.
did.
But I was
really
like,
did.
we've done that before, and people think it's weird.
I kind of liked
Yeah, it
it.
scares Sean Franco.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I'll let you do this, Chris.
Okay, it's all good. It's Nancy at open to no.
Nancy
at opentoclose.com.
Team. I listened.
Nancy at opentoclose.team. Nice. Very nice. Oh, speaking of team, somehow we're gonna bring this back to space yoga.
Well,
You guys are doing
actually, I
great.
had a question because I don't do yoga. I would like to get into yoga, and I feel like part of that is because it was trendy and it was something to do.
Right.
But it's not. You were talking about people that need yoga.
Absolutely.
So, first of all, what classes do you offer here? And then, second of all, why would someone want to do yoga?
Why do we need it?
Yeah.
I mean, I need it to survive my life.
Okay.
I mean, it's a lifestyle for me, and we really encourage all of the people who come to the studio to see it that way as well.
Yeah.
It's really easy, and I think particularly because it has been sold as like a physical movement, which it is. It's a physical movement practice. It is
Yeah.
that also. I think a lot of people view it as like fitness, which
Yeah.
it is. I mean, I don't know, you said you've not done yoga, but if you have tried it, have you ever tried it at all?
P90X.
Okay, but so you know it's hard.
I know it's difficult.
It's very
difficult.
challenging, and that usually surprises people. And a lot of people, I think, connect yoga with like flexibility, and it is some of that, but it is a lot of other things as well. And the more that we're driving home this idea that yoga is not just about physical fitness, it's
Yeah.
really about, I think, whole life fitness. Your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health, all of those things together. I think we see people coming for a variety of reasons. We absolutely, like we have hot yoga and power yoga, for example.
Okay.
Those are really physically challenging practices. So we do have people come to the studio who are looking just for a physical fitness type thing. And then we have other classes like what we call a slow flow or a restorative class, which is more meditative movement. So it is movement, but it kind of goes really slow. And there's a lot of breathing techniques and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that works better. I mean, I think they all work great for stress management, depending on where you are in your life. But we do see people coming in for things like stress management, working with their own like struggles with anxiety or depression, and we actually tailor our classes. We do teach from an adaptive perspective, so
Oh, that's cool. That's
we
very cool.
we tailor towards that specifically.
So how long has space yoga been open?
We have been open almost 6 years total.
Okay.
We've been in the building we're in now, which is on the corner of Central and Montesano Avenue. It's 2 avenues.
Yeah.
We've been here for a little over 2 years now, and we were actually just down the street for the rest of the time. So.
Okay. So what prompted you to go from teaching foreign language to opening a yoga studio?
I think the teaching element was a big part of it for
Okay.
me. So, I've done yoga for a really, really long time, and I've always loved it. And then as my son was getting a little older and was a little bit more independent, and, I stopped being like cool and fun mom, it was just like, I've got friends now,
Yeah.
So when that transition started
How
happening,
old is he?
he'll be 11 next month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's worse now than it's ever been. It's only gonna
I think
get
it
worse.
only gets worse.
Yeah, I'm bracing myself for it. But so when he started getting a little older and he was like in school, at kindergarten, I thought, well, I have some free time. I also love to fill my time with work, just work, constant work.
Right.
Because like, what else am I going to do with my life, So I thought, hey, I was teaching at AU, and I thought, this is a little thing that I could do. It really was like a hobby job. It was like a side thing that I was interested in.
Yeah.
The teaching is really what was the element that kind of propelled me forward. I didn't really think about having a yoga studio so I could do yoga. I thought about having a yoga studio so I could teach yoga.
So originally you wanted to teach it, but you didn't want to teach it at a gym or anything like that.
Yeah. I wasn't really drawn to those types of teaching. There's a lot of like restraints sometimes that they put on you in different facilities. You have like rules to follow, and I hate rules.
Yeah.
I want to make the rules or break the rules. That's how I live my life. So I just was feeling very. And then also there's an idea, there's a very clear idea of like what yoga is supposed to be, that a lot of fitness places, they don't insist that you do it that way, but they kind of cling to that notion that it's just fitness. This is just for fitness.
True.
And so I felt like I was losing the ability to share what was most important in the practice to me. So I kept saying, I just need a space. If I can just get a space, then I can teach. And this tiny little building came up right down the street from where we are now. And I thought I could teach 5 classes or something, and that, will cover
your rent.
Yeah, we'll cover the rent and
Be
whatever.
Something to do.
Yeah. And I had no idea it would be what it is now. I think what happened is it was a very particular moment in time, and nothing like what we have here existed before then.
True.
And I think if there's a demand for something, the demand can be there all day long. If there's no one to meet that demand, it just falls flat. And so I think what happened without me really realizing it is that there was a demand. And I really was so naive. I didn't like go and do market research and like, hey, are you interested in a yoga studio? I was just like, this sounds fun.
Yeah.
It was very naive, very, very naive of me. But the demand was there. And the more people that came, the more people that connected to what we were doing, it just grew and grew and grew to what it is now. So.
And you said connected, and I'm thinking this whole time, it's kind of full circle almost for you. You grew up in a community, and you've created a community.
Yeah.
And to go off of what you're saying, nothing against any gym out there that's doing big time yoga, fitness stuff, but you're missing a sense of community, which I think would be a full circle for the whole yoga and what it's doing. And you're with other people that might be possibly dealing with the same stuff you are. And so you're all working together as one unit to, and I'm here, I've never done yoga. I've done the P90X fitness for stretching purposes.
And we did some for pictures.
Yeah, you did a great job.
And it was fun.
But I am assuming, and I can imagine being a part of a community that has done stuff like that together. I know how it helps.
Yeah, I think that element is missing, and I think also the other elements, like you're right, I'm not saying anything about fitness only yoga, because what I've always said and what I really deeply believe is like those people are still rolling out their mats.
Right.
The practice of yoga, in my experience and the experience I think of so many other people, is that it has power. It's a strong, it forces you to look at yourself in a very critical way, and not in a criticism type of perspective, but in like a
self-improvement.
And just self-awareness. Like, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Even if it's like, why am I moving my leg this way? There's an aspect of it, an element of it that involves so much self-study. And I think in a fitness, so even if they're rolling out their mats, they're getting there. Even if it's just fitness, right? That might be where it starts. So I don't knock that, because it is an access point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then the sense of community, it's like the great equalizer, especially here where we don't have set prices. And so you don't know if someone on the mat next to you paid $3 or paid $20. You don't know. And I think when we limit the demographic and we say everybody who comes to yoga has to be able to afford $15 to $20 a class, what you've done then is you've taken out large segments of the population who could absolutely benefit from a stress reducing, anxiety reducing, movement, meditation practice, and just really can't afford it.
Right.
So it's like a way that we make it accessible, and then also we just equalize it. It's an equalizer.
So on this topic of community, we're about to get to our final question, but I have one more question I want you to talk about before that, and that's your philanthropy. So we mentioned this earlier that a lot of the money from here does go to charity. And so I want you to talk about that.
Sure. So there's kind of two branches in the studio. One is the studio itself, which is Space Yoga Studio, and then we have a nonprofit arm which is called Project Create Space. And the difference with those two is that the classes that happen in the building of the studio are under the umbrella of Space Yoga Studio, and those classes are supported, meaning like the overhead, the building, the teachers, those classes are supported through the payments that people make when they come in for donated classes.
Right, of course.
The nonprofit is what we use to run classes in the community. So they are done outside the
So these
walls
are
of this
free
building.
classes, basically.
We offer classes at no cost. I don't like the word free.
No cost.
No cost classes.
Okay, nice.
We offer no cost classes in facilities around the CSRA.
Okay.
So, for example, we have classes for veterans with PTSD twice a week at the VA hospital. We are in the Richmond County school system where we work with children who have behavioral issues, behavioral struggles. We work with several nonprofits, both in addiction recovery, rehabilitation, and also elderly with things like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, dementia.
Wow.
And then we also are in the Georgia Department of Corrections. So we have once a week class in the prison system here.
We did not get that the first episode.
Yeah.
First take.
Yeah.
Come on.
So we
That's awesome.
and that's I tried to get it all in there, but we are constantly adding programs, so it's hard for me to get them all remember.
That's incredible.
But the nonprofit that supports the classes we do in the community. So we have a lot of really fabulous instructors who donate their time. And then if we can, via grants or donations, we pay the instructors to do that work. But really crucial to the mission is that it is no cost for the facilities and it's no cost for the individuals. So essentially we just roll up in there with some yoga mats and we say, hey, we're going to help you.
Wow.
Basically.
That's exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah,
which
it
is
is.
awesome. Full circle.
It is. And, we do on Saturday mornings, we have one class called Community Yoga. It's at 10 a.m. and 100% of those funds go directly into the nonprofit. So that one class does support the work we do in the community.
That's really cool. So we always like to ask a question, and I know you're aware of it.
You know this question.
I do.
You might answer it the same or
I feel like I gave a brilliant answer
You
last
did. I feel
time,
bad.
and I don't even
I'll
remember.
salvage it and I'll make a script from it and we'll have you read from
Great.
it in the
I
future.
love it. Well, I spoke from my heart, so I'm assuming similar things will come
There you
out.
go.
Yeah.
So and this is a special one because you're the first of 2020.
First of 2020.
Oh,
we didn't
I'll
actually
take it.
intend
I'll take
this
it.
originally,
We
but
didn't,
we're excited
we're gonna
about
start out the year
Starting strong.
Yeah, start out
Start
dropping
strong.
the disc like this. So
that was a nice rhyme.
thank you. We like to ask, what does dropping the disc from the word disgusta mean to you?
Okay, so the word disgusta, first of all, it's a terrible word. It just sounds disgusting. It really does. It's and I grew up, because I'm from this area, I grew up hearing that you two are babies and you're considerably younger.
Thank you.
And so
I
I was
age well. You don't know.
Oh, really? Are you 70?
Close.
Okay, good.
He's like
Very
Benjamin
impressive.
Button.
Are you 70?
Whoa,
Wow, wow.
No.
It's funny when you
Wow.
ask him, but you can't.
Actually, I'm
you can't ask
75.
him.
Joke's on you.
Wow, you age very well.
Thank
look
you.
very- yeah, you
Thank
look
you.
very
It's hair color. No. So so I grew up hearing that word, and because I say you're younger because when your podcast first popped up, I was like, whoa, people are still doing that. It was sort of like an older, in my mind, it was like a previous generation thing.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because in my mind, I feel like it's already been dropped in a lot of ways. I grew up here, moved away for graduate school, and then came back. And the Augusta that I came back to was so dramatically different than the Augusta that I remembered. I was a member of a group of many individuals who are my age still now, and who have businesses actually, who spent a lot of time saying, disgusted, this is horrible, I'm leaving, I'm never coming back. But your family brings you back. And a lot of us, I think, have found just a lot of joy to come back and go, whoa, there's a lot of possibility here. And I think not just with those people, but with a lot of the business owners, there are just a lot going on. There's a lot of hope for the future. And I think there's a revitalization happening. And I think for me, dropping the disc means leaning into that hope, leaning into what's possible in Augusta, which, I don't think a lot of people saw years and years ago. And now I think people are seeing. Not just business owners, but new people coming to Augusta. It's got so many great things. It's got the river. It's got all these fantastic businesses. It's got Somerville, which is really up and coming, by the way.
It is.
I love Somerville. I've always loved it.
Yep.
So I think it's that. I think it's like moving forward in a progressive way, you know, leaning into the hope that it can be better and actually just acknowledging that it is. It is. It's not Disgusta. It's lovely Gusta.
Ooh.
That's the next name of this podcast.
Lovely
2020.
Gusta.
Lovely
2020,
Gusta
new name.
2020.
Moniqua, thank you for having us for a second time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming back.
Happy New Year.
We actually
Happy
faked
New
this
Year.
whole thing so we could come talk to you again.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, yeah,
Thanks.
definitely.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody listening.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Bye.